story in your reading book on page 59 is called Gingerbread for Liberty. And this story is a nonfiction story, but it's a special kind of nonfiction story. It's called a biography. Can you say that? A biography tells about a real person's life. So even though this is a drawn picture, not a real photograph like most nonfiction books have, it is about a real person. This really happened. Okay, so the story is about the life of a real person. It gives me information about why this person is important. It's a place where the person lived, worked, or traveled, and the way the person has made a difference. Now, we talked about history. What is history? What is history? Wyatt? Stuff in the past. And it's usually important stuff. When we learn history in school, it's about important things that made a difference in our lives, or our country, or the world. So this is a man, and the title is Gingerbread for Liberty, but it's about a man in the American Army. So here we go. Everyone in Philadelphia knew the gingerbread baker. His honest face, his booming laugh. Remember, booming means real loud. So he had a loud laugh. And his honest face means he told the truth. And of course, his gingerbread, the best in all the 13 colonies. His big flowery hands turned out castles and queens, horses and cows and hens, each detail drawn in sweet buttery icing with the greatest skill and care. And yet, despite his care, there always seemed to be some broken pieces for the hungry children who followed their noses to the spicy-smelling shop. No empty bellies here, the baker bellowed, not in my America. So this was America, but it said the words 13 colonies. So whenever America started, it was part of England. Did you know that? And that's when the Pilgrims came over, and they started 13 colonies that became America, and then they fought to become a free country, and that's what became the United States of America, and that we went from 13 colonies to how many states do we have? How many?
49?
No? 50 states, that's right.
I'm so cool.
You were so close. For once upon a time, he had been young and hungry too, and he had followed his own nose to this new world. Who else called it the new world? Who did we learn about the other day where they called that he discovered the new world? Who discovered it, Isaiah? Christopher Columbus. And he had followed his own nose to this new world where a hard-working man could open his own bakery and always have enough to eat. But now, something else was in the air, besides the smell of baking gingerbread. Newspapers shouted, "Revolution! Revolution! Independence! Liberty!" Boys rolled up blankets, shouldered guns, and kissed their mothers goodbye. The baker hung his apron up. He dusted flour off his hands. "Where are you going?" asked his wife. "To fight for my America," he said. "I was a soldier once." "That was long ago and far away," she said. "You are a baker now, and you are old and fat." Look at him right there. See him?
He's chubby.
He is chubby.
He's
All right, turn the page. The baker knew his wife was right, but he also knew that he loved his country. Somehow he had to find a way to help. He packed his bags and went to join General Washington. Do you all know who General Washington is? What's his first name, Kate? He was the first president of the United States. Yeah, what was his first name? Remember?
It's George.
George Washington. Remember, he fought the revolution to become free from England. So he went to join General Washington. There's Washington right there. General Washington did not say the baker was old and fat. General Washington was too polite. Polite means kind. He would never call someone fat and old. Anyway, he had other troubles on his mind. "The men are threatening to leave. They say the food is terrible, and there isn't enough of it." So they're all saying they're going to leave because there's no food and it's terrible. Oh, the baker rolled up his sleeves. "No empty bellies here," he told General Washington. Not in my America. But bigger trouble was on the way. Across the ocean in England. Your Majesty, those Americans think they can beat your redcoats. Ha 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 ha. What if they're right? Ha ha ha. Huh? The King of England wrote to other rulers and hired their armies to help him squash the revolution. They're coming to get us, saying they're not going to be free. It's their country. It's England's country. When the ship sailed into sight, even General Washington turned pale. He got scared. Who had ever seen such an army? Look at all those people coming.
What the?
Not me. Not me. Definitely not me. I have. There he is again.
There it is.
The baker.
Where is he? Is he like in the bottom of the ship?
Those sea soldiers came from the land where I was born, the baker told General Washington. Let me go speak to them. Perhaps I can persuade them we are not their enemies. Remember, persuade means to talk them into. Perhaps I can even persuade them to switch sides. If you are caught, you will be killed, Washington warned. The baker smiled. Then I must not be caught. In the darkest hour of the night, he rowed across the bay. With each dip of his oars, he thought of words to win the soldiers over to the American cause. Revolution, splash, I don't know what this says, Befreiung. Independence, splash, I don't know what that says. Unabhängigkeit. Liberty, splash, splash, Freiheit. So he's speaking in a different language. He's speaking their language that he's about to go talk to. But when he looked into their hungry faces, all his fine words slipped away. What could he say? I have a bake shop, he began. As the baker spoke, the soldiers seemed to see the fragrant steam rising from his ovens. They could almost smell the spicy gingerbread and taste the sweet buttery icing on their tongues. And you always have enough to eat? The soldiers asked. No empty bellies here, the baker told them. Not in my America. Across the ocean. Your Majesty, we just don't understand. These hired armies seem to have disappeared. Many, many loaves and battles later. The British have surrendered. The revolution is over. We won. My work is done, the baker cried. Washington said, not quite. Did he bake the British soldiers gingerbread for their dessert? We'll never know. They didn't leave a crumb. So do you think he really cooked the enemy food like that? Maybe not all that food. So it might be a little bit of an untrue story. But the man was true. He was a real man. So that is the story, or part of the story, of Christopher Ludwig. Christopher Ludwig. And this is his timeline. Look up here. So he was speaking, remember those words that weren't English? They were German. He was born in Germany in 1720. That was a long time. That was actually 300 years ago. Wait. Yes, 300 years ago from today, or from this year. Okay. In 1737, he began serving in the Austrian and Prussian armies. So was it true when he said, I used to be in their army? Yeah. In 1745, he became a sailor and traveled the world. So it talked about him coming to the New World, didn't it? In 1754, he opened a bakery in Pennsylvania. Do you remember the story at the beginning? He was the best baker in Pennsylvania. In 1755, he married Catherine England. Do you remember it talking about his wife in the story? Yeah. 1766, he owned 9 properties and a farm. Didn't talk about that. So he got to America and he got a lot of land. In 1777, he became the Baker General to the American Army. So he really was, in fact, the baker for General Washington. And then in 1801, he died at the age of 81. So, in 1801. He was 81. That's not too young. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to ask some questions about this timeline. So this is the timeline of Christopher Ludwig, this Gingerbread for Liberty, the person it's about. And we're going to use this timeline to answer some questions down here.